What is up, everybody? Crazzyfool here, coming at you with some patch notes today. So, not a gameplay video today. We're going over the 1.8 patch. I've been playing it quite a bit, and let me tell you, this patch is absolutely amazing. I played it for 9 hours on stream yesterday, and the changes that they're doing to this game and the new hero, Akeron, yeah, he's probably my new favorite hero. This character is a lot of fun to play. I played him a lot yesterday on stream and just overall had a great time doing it. So without further ado, let's jump into the patch notes video and go over the patches and the changes that are coming on Tuesday. All right, everybody. We're here talking about the patch notes, the 1.8 patch notes. The Demon King Akeron is coming. Uh, yeah, it's going to be a great patch. It's going to be a fun patch. There's a lot of exciting changes in here, and the game is changing pretty dramatically as far as it comes to the overall gameplay. A couple of new objectives, the map changing, the map being altered in the middle of the match, and we're going to get all into it here. So first thing with the patch notes, there's called a world shift that's going to be coming, which basically just means that the apocalyptic event that happens alters the map in the middle of the game, which is pretty cool. New pathways and everything open up. The new hero, Akeron, the Demon King, is now here. And like I said in the intro, I've been playing him a lot, and he is a lot of fun. I love this character. Definitely some things that you have to really keep in mind with him, and we're going to go over those here. There's some base stats. You can read those if you want. Pact of the Devourer, his passive, you really need to pay attention to this. Akeron gains up to 100 stacks of hunger lasting 1 second, refreshing on each application. Each stack provides him with 0.25% ability haste, which is pretty good. Akeron gains hunger each time he hits an enemy unit with a basic attack or an ability. He gains additional hunger when hit by the enemy hero's basic attack in once per ability. So, you want to build this stack up. Again, it goes to 100 stacks, and you get a lot of ability haste from it, and some of your abilities will change. And when Akeron reaches max stacks, he becomes awakened for 10 seconds, maintaining the ability haste, granting him 5% plus 0.75% per level damage mitigation, and granting his abilities extra effects. This right here is insanely important, okay? You want to make sure that you are fighting when you are awakened, and we're going to get into more reasons why the awakened is so good. So make sure that before you take a fight, you pay attention to the stat counter that you have, because that stat counter is going to, once it gets to 100, it'll stay there for 10 seconds, and that's when you really want to make sure you're fighting people. It is really easy to get his stacks, so on his abilities, but again, make sure that you're all-inning people when you have 100 stacks. Sorry. He's got a basic attack, Flay. It's just basic attacks are nothing crazy. Hellfire primary cooldown is here, so this is his first ability. Akeron rears back and opens his maw and launching the demon's eye forward. The eye moves slowly, reveals enemies. It passes and firing 10 plus 10% ability haste fireballs in a semi-random location around it. Refire the ability, pause the eye mid-flight. Again, this is important because he fires 10 projectiles plus 10% of your ability haste in fireballs. Again, your passive gives you ability haste, 0.25% ability haste per stack. 100 stacks, 25 ability haste. It's pretty good. You get extra fireballs from that. Very big deal, and you want to build ability haste as well. Each fireball deals 15, 35, 55, 75, 95 plus 9% bonus physical power and 12.5% bonus magic power. Damage and slows enemies by 10% up to a max of 40. So essentially, you can only slow them by 40% if you hit 4 fireballs. But this is a lot of damage. This is per fireball hit. Plus 12% of your magic power if you build magic power, plus 9% of physical. This is per fireball hit. This thing absolutely fucking chunks. If you get somebody stuck in that fireball, it is going to absolutely murder them. And it's each of these fireballs as well, 10, will apply for your stacks. So if you get them caught in your fireballs, you're going to get a lot of stacks. Each enemies within the eye fire an additional homing fireball at them. Each subsequent hit deals 20% less damage, stacking up to 80% reduction. Basically, so you don't just absolutely murder somebody. It's not going to one-shot somebody because it could one-shot a squishy if you max this first. It will do a little bit less damage. When awakened, the number of fireballs is increased. So again, when awakened, your fireballs are increased. Only fight when you're awakened. Akeron fires a web, stopping on the target's hit and causing various effects depending on the target's type. So this is his secondary ability. Spawns a web for 3 seconds that slows. So if you shoot this on the ground, it'll just put a big AoE web on the ground that slows. Heroes or units damaged. It does a decent amount of damage, and then it will root the target, also creating a web field right here. So it slows as well. So if you hit somebody with it, it will root them and then slow around them, so anybody that's around them also gets slowed. Web lash lashes to it for up to walls. You are lashed to the wall for up to 5 seconds. While on a wall, Akeron can use abilities or leap to the ground, dealing 60 all up to 180 plus bonus physical power and bonus magical power, physical damage, knocking up and stunning enemies for 1 second. So it scales a lot harder with physical power, this wall leap ability, when you land somebody on the ground. But magic power scales way better up here. So you have to remember, this is an additional 3.5% per fireball launched. So the scaling is 30% based off just 10 fireballs, almost, or 25%, 35% based off just 10 fireballs, because it's each fireball does 3.5% more. So his magic power scales a lot off of his Q. His web slam ability scales a lot off of his physical power, as long as you slam on them. And then if we go down to Crushing Maul, Akeron, which is his bite ability, Akeron deals up to 150 damage, plus 80% bonus physical power and 50% bonus magical power in a cone. Enemies close to Akeron take 1.5x damage and have their armor reduced by 5 up to 15%, plus 10% of your bonus physical power. So if you go physical power, so basically he's an either-or character. You can go magical power depending on what you want to do, and you can go physical power depending on what you want to do. Magical power will help you burst down players if you get them stuck in that little eyeball, and helps you kill them a lot faster. Physical power will help you with sustain and help you shredding enemy team's armor. So depending on what you do, from talking to the developers, Blood Mortius, he suggests that if you're playing him in the jungle, you want to go the more physical armor build. That way, more physical power build. That way you can sustain in the jungle with your bite, and overall just sustain on monsters and stuff and lower people's armor. And if you're playing in the off lane, you want to go ability power and you want to max your eyeball. You want to max this first ability, Hellfire, up here, and really start bursting people down in the off lane and taking good trades. So magic power off lane, physical power in the jungle. Try that out and see if you like it. The last ability he has is Consume. Akeron slows himself by 35% while pulling and dealing physical damage. Pulling and dealing magical damage to all enemies in a cone over 5 seconds. If an enemy hero collides with Akeron, he bites them while healing for X amount of the missing health. Akeron executes enemies bitten under 10%, which is a huge deal. And each time Akeron successfully executes a hero, he gains 5 bonus physical power and 5 magical power permanently, also healing for 1.5 the bite value. So essentially, you want to start ulting people at low health and execute them and gain permanent stacking. He's like a Zarus Feng Mao combination. You want to execute them when they're low health, and then you also get Zarus's, you get a passive like Zarus where you get permanent magic power and physical power, which is better than Zarus because this is 10. Starting at level 6, you get 10 physical power and bonus. And remember, all of his abilities scale off both, so it's a pretty big deal. When awakened, the pull strength is increased and the execute threshold is raised to 15%. Again, if you are awakened with this ability, I promise you, it's super important. You need to make sure you're using your abilities and all-inning people when you are awakened or when you're about to be awakened, and you can get it in the middle of the fight you're taking with them. The pull strength isn't really that big of a deal if you aren't awakened. You're going to notice that if you try to ult somebody, they're kind of just standing there and they can kind of back up a little bit. It doesn't pull them to you. If you are awakened, whenever you ult, it literally pulls them all the way to you. They cannot escape it. If they try to flash out of it, it will catch them in the flash and keep pulling them back. It is insanely important to only ult whenever you're getting pulled. Your ult can be canceled as well, so careful pulling in people like Richters and Gruxes and Countesses. However, True Silver is very good on him since he scales with magic power and he wants to be semi-frontliney, and you don't want your ult canceled, so True Silver is good on him as well. Insatiable Hunger. Instead of decaying over time, hunger regenerates over time and is not gained by hitting abilities. Additionally, Awakened lasts twice as long. So you still get it when enemy people hit you. This is probably his best augment. So you still get it when enemies hit you and when you auto attack, just not when you hit your abilities. War of the Torment. Consume now pushes instead of pulls, dealing 200% increased tick damage, but can no longer bite. So now you're going to push people away from you. And you might think, wow, that's kind of troll. It's whatever. I have been playing some support, Akeron, and this ability is kind of insane. You flank a team fight and push everybody you want towards your team. It is awesome. I've played it against dual lane. I hit level 6. I use my spider. I slam behind them and ult them towards my team that's ganking. It is awesome. If they're in the prime pit or an objective pit and you ult, it pushes everybody against the wall and they're stuck against the wall until your ult ends, or if they can somehow cancel it. It's actually quite fun and quite interesting to do, so definitely recommend if you're playing support anyway. Death from above. Akeron can fire an additional web projectile from the wall once, allowing him to leap from wall to wall or to root from the wall. So essentially, if you use your E and you climb up onto the wall, you can use your web. If you use your web to climb up onto the wall, you can either use your web again to go to a different wall, or you can use your web and root somebody on the ground and then pounce on them, which is pretty good. This one's also very fun to do. All of his augments, I think, are pretty good. I do think the Insatiable Hunger is definitely the best if you're doing offlane or jungle, but all of his augments overall are pretty good. This one can be pretty good from the offlane role if you want to lash onto the wall, root them, slam onto them, then all in them. This one can be pretty good too. The store is getting an overhaul. We've heard some feedback and we're rolling out further improvements to the game, so the store is getting some pretty good reworks. Redeemer Epic Twin Blast. This skin is absolutely amazing. It looks amazing in game. Same thing with the Shimby skin. It looks amazing in game. I haven't seen the Wukong skin yet myself, but I'm sure since the other two look really good, this one's going to look really good as well. Akeron the Deity. It's his basically kind of just a recolor. They paint him gold like a deity figure. You know, those little figurines that are all gold. That's kind of what they did for this, since he is the Demon King. So that one's not too bad. We got some bundles happening. And then we have a new battle pass. Pretty cool. Lots of stuff here. I highly recommend getting the battle pass. 10,000 ambers, tons of ion cores, which is really worth it. 11 quantum cores, which is extremely worth it. These quantum cores, man, you have the chance to get, $30, $40, well, not $30 or $40 skins, sorry, $20 or $25 skins. You can get legendary skins in there, and you can get multiple of them if there's 11. So you can get, if you get pretty lucky, they're pretty good. So let's go down. World Shift Cataclysm. So this is where everything's going to change. Okay, the map, the gameplay, all of it's going to change pretty drastically because of this World Shift change. We were working on making Predecessor more experienced and more exciting, adding a new layer of oomph to make matches feel more varied and cinematic. When World Shift is triggered by killing the new Shaper, which appears at 15 minutes mark, it's the new objective on the map, an event will transform the map, bringing dramatic environmental changes. This feature is coming to all modes, so this will be in your ranked matches on Tuesday. The initial release introduces World Shift Cataclysm, where the sky splits and opens a meteor rain down on the map. It's more than just cosmetic, though. Subtle changes have major impact on gameplay. We've added new paths, strategically placing rocks to create choke points and alter line of sights. Geysers that launch players previously in inaccessible areas. While these map changes are subtle compared to the theme, we're excited to see how they shift the mid and late game strategy. So, at the beginning of the game, and we're going to get to seedlings in a second, there's going to be pre-15 minutes, there's going to be a little seedling creature where the river buffs used to be. The river buffs are still there. They're just opposite side of the river, exactly across from where they were. But now these new seedlings are going to be there, and they give a ton of gold and a ton of XP, which we're going to get to. But at 15 minutes, those seedlings change to the Shaper. Well, one of them does. It only spawns on one side of the river or the other. This Shaper is kind of like Fangtooth. It's a big objective that you can take. When you take it, it will literally, if you look up, it will literally rain meteors from the sky, and I'm sure you've seen it in some YouTube videos of the new gameplay. If not, I'll be posting some as well. Literally rains meteors from the sky, which break walls on the map and open up new pathways for you to take, flank team fights, flank towers, whatever it is. It is pretty sick. Looking ahead, we have big plans for World Shift, including improvements to Cataclysm and a completely new shift for our major update in November. So this World Shift that they're doing, where the map completely changes after the Shaper is killed, we are going to be getting more of those in future patches. Not just this patch, where it shifts the map and changes and opens new pathways, but in the future, there'll be a different event instead of Cataclysm, where the map will shift in a different direction. Different pathways will open up. so on and so forth. So they're trying to add a little bit of complexity into the game, trying to make sure that each game is a little bit different. I'm assuming that in the future, depending on which shaper spawns, the different pathways will open up and such. But we'll see that in the future. But as for now, Cataclysm is the only one. We know this is a big change. We want to roll things out gradually and keep closely monitoring player feedback and data and make adjustments as needed. I really think this world shift is pretty awesome. Again, it is meant to add variety to the game so you don't feel like you're playing the same game every time. It's pretty cool. An enemy has added to the game Shaper defeating its seedlings, and then the Shaper itself begins a sequence of events that tear rifts into the sky. New monsters, seedlings. Basic attack deal bonus physical damage based on the target's current health. Basic attack range deals higher damage than the melee version, so it's harder for mid laners just to take it by itself. It has a lot of health. It's not super easy to kill. You will want to have a couple of people there because it does give a lot of gold as well. Every few attacks, the seedlings unleash a Nova, dealing minor damage and applying a small pushback to all nearby enemies. Initial spawn. 2 seedlings spawn at the start of every match. They're relatively easy to defeat and grant golden XP to the killer. Once both seedlings are defeated, a 4-minute timer begins. After the timer, a single seedling spawns in one of the new pits found on either side of the river. Each subsequent respawn the seedling grows in size, power, and rewards it provides. So at the start of the game, when 4 minutes hits, a seedling spawns on both sides where the river buffs used to be. Usually teams are going to try and trade them out, but if you can get both, it's huge if you can get both. After those 2 are killed, it'll spawn on a random side, and if you kill it, it spawns on the opposite side. So you can take them multiple times before 15 minutes. It is definitely worth it if you can get them multiple times before 15 minutes as well. These things give a ton of golden XP. Physical power is 30. Health is 2,500. Again, this is a lot of health. So you don't want to just take this solo and lose all your HP and then get killed while you're trying to take it. Again, support rotate to this. Offlaner rotate to the one if it's on your side. Dueling can rotate as a whole. Take this thing together quickly. Go back to your lane and keep farming. If the jungler can take it with the mid laner, great, but you don't normally want to risk that. The Shaper, initial spawn is 15 minutes. Respawn time is 4 minutes. Reward triggers the world shift on first death, transforming the map. Global 300 gold and 250 XP. So it doesn't say this as well, but the reward also spawns a seedling. This thing, it'll spawn this seedling in each of your creep waves. Right? So if you take the Shaper, it'll spawn a seedling in your wave, which helps. It's way stronger than a siege minion, right? It will push towers down so fast. So taking the Shaper will give you lane priority in every single creep wave, which allows you to take that into the next Fangtooth, into Mini Orb, into Big Orb, into Primal. You take the Shaper, you guarantee your waves are going to push in your favor, and then you can take other things on the map. That's the Shaper. It's pretty cool. Abilities, the Shaper constantly deals damage to all nearby enemies when in combat. Ranged retains the powerful long-range basic attack on enemy seedlings. Tremor, the Shaper stomps the ground, dealing heavy damage and slowing enemies in a wide area. This ability can be completely avoided by jumping at the moment of impact. This takes a small little bit of time to get used to, but I got used to it very quickly yesterday. If I'm hitting this thing right before it's about to slam its foot on the ground, if you jump, you will dodge all the damage from this Tremor ability, which is pretty useful. Fissure, the Shaper targets all nearby champions, creating volatile zones beneath them. After a brief delay, these zones erupt, dealing damage and launching the targets into the air. Do not get hit by this. It's CC, and if an enemy team sees you get hit by this, they can engage, and then you're fucked. So constant movement is required to evade the delayed explosion. So you just want to be kiting the whole time, moving back and forth the whole time while you're hitting it. Again, this is kind of like World of Warcraft, if you've ever played that. If you do the boss's mechanics, you won't take any damage and you won't get stunned. If you don't, you're going to take damage, you're going to get stunned, and you could get collapsed on. The Shaper triggers the world event on the first death, transforming the map. Upon defeat, the Shaper grants 300 gold, 250 global XP to the slaying team, and a special seedling will spawn in each lane, pushing towards the enemy base. This seedling is insanely strong to push with. The Shaper has a 4-minute respawn timer and will continue to alternate its spawn locations between the 2 mini pits. It's pretty important. Make sure you kill it. Lane seedling is this are its stats. It has 2,000 health as a lane seedling. It's very, very, very strong. Gold plants. For the world shift, gold plants are being introduced. You'll find several on the jungle. These gold plants give 5 gold orbs that give 12 gold each for a total of 60 gold. Hit it one time, just like the red explosion plants, and you get the plant. It's pretty easy. Meteorites. A bombardment begins as a meteorite streaks across the sky. These meteorites, as you can see here in this picture, this is a meteorite. When they land on the ground, they will transform the map in some way. They might just sit there, allowing you to kite around it or play around it. Or right here is one of those little geyser things. If you hit that, it's kind of like a permanent red plant. If you hit it, it bounces you pretty far, like the red plant used to, but it's only on a 12-second cooldown. So these things are pretty awesome, and they're all over the map, taking you over walls that you previously couldn't get over. While not designed to be lethal, the meteorites, when they land, each strike inflicts a small amount of damage based on current health. It's 10% of your current health. So if a meteor comes from the sky and hits you, it'll do 10% of your current health, which means it can't kill you, right? If you have 10 HP, it'll hit you for 1 damage. So, right, 10% of your current health. But it also knocks you back. So it's not like getting hurt by or hit by these is that big of a deal. They can be a little annoying if you get hit while you're in the middle of a fight, which probably isn't going to happen. But it's very interesting. I've caught some of these. I've looked up and I've caught some of them, and it's pretty funny. When the dust settles, the battlefield is permanently scarred. Superheating rocks may cool into new jagged terrain, creating obstacles. The sheer force of the impact may shatter walls and open new pathways and strategic flanking routes. And it does. It's pretty cool. World shift map changes. Some minor adjustment to the walls and terrain allow for various world shifts to occur. The river bugs have been moved to the other side of the river. A new pit on either side of mid lane has taken over the river bugs in old locations. Nitro's triple jump pad setup has been added to the default map. So that means in your ranked games, you do have a mid lane jump pad now. Fog walls have been added to the side lane jump overs to better convey the existing vision block. The vistas outside of the map have been updated, which just means this is really cool visuals on the outside of the map. That's really all it means. The skybox has been updated. It's a lot taller now, so you can jump over more stuff. Additionally, the transform map features allow audio changes to the underlying transformations. So right here, this is when the wall breaks by a meteorite, right? So right here, there usually is a wall because that goes into the lane right in front of the tower. So those of you guys who remember, this is usually a wall. Right here, as well as the river bug and the seedling change. So this is where the river bug used to spawn. The river bug is no longer in this area. The river bug now spawns here. This is where the river bug will be. This is the new seedling and the new shaper spawn. Rank split. Ranked downtime will be closed for maintenance around and before the update. Usually about 24 hours before the update comes out is when ranked goes down. So make sure if you're trying to get to a rank, you get that either today or tomorrow, Sunday, because on Monday it will be down. Rank reset. After the reset, all players will be moved 5 divisions down in the ranked ladder. Reward distribution. Rank reward split 1 will be distributed at this time. So you'll be moved 5 division down. If you're Paragon, Diamond 1, Diamond 2, Diamond 3, Plat 1, Plat 2. I don't know if they count Paragon as 1, but it'll be around Plat 2 or Plat 1, and then you can do the math from there. Every player will receive a season split banner icon. The type of cosmetic you earn depends on your highest rank achieved during the split, not your final rank. So if you got to Paragon and then you demoted down to Diamond, you will still get the Paragon banner. Below Gold, players will receive the same based variant regardless of rank. So that's your Silver and your Bronze. And then Gold and above, players will earn a variant that matches the color of the highest rank. Oh, sorry, this is the Morgesh skin. So all players who won at least 15 matches will get a Morgesh skin, and depending on which skin you get is dependent on the rank that you got. Ranked teams compatibility update. Wanting to play with friends but feel like you're too far apart in divisions. Starting at 1.8, they've simplified how you can play with your friends. So bronze players can now queue up to gold with friends, or can now queue with friends up to gold, and then all other ranks squads with friends within 1 full rank. You can squad with ranks within 1 full rank. Jesus, my mush mouth is coming out. So this just means that all other ranks can squad with friends within 1 full rank. A platinum player can queue with anyone. Gold 1 rank below, diamond 1 rank above. Silver can queue with bronze, gold. Gold can queue with silver, plat. Yeah. So there you go. 1 rank below or above. They're adding in new servers across the map, across the world. We're getting Predecessor worldwide. This is huge, guys. If we are seeing them increase servers, that means they're seeing a big enough player base for them to put a server in that location. Japanese localization, they're trying to expand to the Japanese market, and then we're also getting one in the Middle East and North Africa. Again, this is a pretty big deal. Expanding servers across the world is not something games do not do if they don't see data that supports it. So we have OCE servers, Europe servers, one NA server, a South American server. We're gonna have a Japan server and a Middle East and North Africa server. Pretty big deal, guys. This means the game is growing at a steady rate, and it's pretty exciting. NVIDIA update, they added DLSS 4 support, and they're working on all these other supports. Or sorry, they already have all of these other supports as well. Players just with supported NVIDIA hardware can also enable all of this. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Anniversary rewards. If you participated in the anniversary event and are eligible for a reward, they will be distributed soon after the 1.8 releases. Gameplay and balance changes. Multi-kill timer. Required window of time between kills will be identified as a multi-kill has been increased from 12 seconds to 18 seconds. So essentially, all of those like, hey, I just killed 4 people and now I'm chasing down the last guy so I can get my pentakill, which none of you guys have done, obviously. And then you get that kill and we call it the unofficial pentakill. It's a lot easier to get that pentakill now. I have seen somebody chase from a fight at the Fangtooth Pit all the way into the guy's base, get the kill, and he was able to get his pentakill. So it is a lot longer. 6 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot longer to get that extra kill feed up that shows on the top of the screen, and it does the announcement for. So that's pretty cool. Recall speed. Recall time has been decreased from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. So essentially they're saying that they found in Nitro players really enjoyed backing to base faster so they can get their back off and get back onto the map and do things. So in standard games right now on the current patch 1.7, it's 8 seconds when you hit your back button to get back to base. They're changing that to 6 seconds. Nitro is still 4 seconds, I believe. I believe Nitro is still 4 seconds, maybe. But Empowered and Prime is still 4 seconds, sorry. Powered and Prime is still 4 seconds, and Nitro, I think, is a little bit faster than 6, I think. But yeah, so it's still, 6 seconds long. You can still catch people on their backs. It's a lot harder to do. And then Prime is really fast. This is a good quality of life, fountain healing. Let me get a drink. There we go. The fountain's regeneration effect is now applied as a 2-second buff that constantly refreshes while inside the fountain. The buff regenerates 4.5% of your maximum health and mana every 0.25 seconds. This is the exact same value as live, just split into a quicker application. If you leave fountain, you retain the buff for 2 seconds. The reason why this is amazing is because if you're like me, you back to base. If you're low health and low mana, you back to base, you hit your shop, you buy really fast, and then you hit the jump pad and you go. And a lot of the time, you're missing 10, 20% of your HP or 10, 20% of your mana. This now fixes that. If you leave base fast, you still have a 2-second buff for you to heal up and regen. So you can get to your lane faster. You don't have to sit there in base waiting 2 seconds. Okay, now I'm finally full health. You hit that jump pad and you go, and you'll still get your healing and regen to top yourself off. This is another amazing quality of life update. I have loved this on the patch. Multiple potions can now be used in succession if there are stacks remaining, increasing the duration of the potion healing effect. There's a very short spam protection, so you don't actually double pop. So while you're in lane, level 1, level 2 fighting, and you have your refillable pots, if you take a trade that's really bad, this is at any point in the game actually. If you take a trade that's bad, even at level 18, you can pop a pot and then pop the second pot at the same time, right? Double pop. The reason why this is good is you don't have to sit there, have a health pot, wait the entire cooldown of that health pot while you're fighting and hit another health pot, right? Let's say you're half health and you need both of your health pots to go right away. You pop both pots at the same time, and if it's a 15-second timer, it will be 30 seconds long of nothing but healing with your health pots. It's not going to double your healing, but it's going to give you the same length of time as the first health pot. It's just going to add that on to the current health pot that's ticking. So if you have 6 seconds left on your health pot and it adds the next one, it'll be 21 seconds, and it'll just heal you for that entire duration instead of you having to sit there, pay attention to your health pot timer, pop your next health pot, and keep going. Add one less thing for you to focus on while you're trying to team fight. Ward destruction, decrease the base ward visibility duration from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. So they recently buffed this to 4 seconds to try and make it easier to deward people who just throw wards in front of your face. but now they're lowering it back down. When a ward is visible and damaged, it gains additional 1.5 seconds of visibility concurrent to its current visibility timer. A ward has 0.5 seconds of visibility left when I damage it, making the ward last for 1 second past its original expiration. A ward has 2 seconds of visibility left when I damage it, meaning the ward will still last for 2 seconds. So a ward has 0.5 seconds of visibility left when I damage it, making the ward last for 1 second longer. Essentially, if someone places a ward down in front of you and you are trying to run and hit it and deward it, if you hit it one time, it guarantees you at least 1.5 seconds more of you being able to kill the ward. So even if the ward is about to disappear and go invis in 0.2 seconds and you hit it, it's going to give you 1.5 seconds longer to kill the ward. So no more lazy warding, popping your ward in front of people and saying, haha, do you have the attack speed to deward it in time? They will now. They will have the attack speed to deward it. You have to make sure you're warding in a spot where people can't see your ward and deward it before it goes invisible. No more lazy warding. Jungle monster healing. Upon being fully leashed, jungle monsters now generate 50% slower. So if you mess up and it resets the camp, it doesn't instantly reset back to full health. Ward radius is increased as well for vision, so wards can now see more. Amazing change. Love it. It's awesome. Nitro balance changes. I'm not going to go through all of these because it's just Nitro, so it's just the fun game mode. But essentially, they're making it to where you can get leads faster on Nitro and end games faster, and so you're not stuck in those 30-minute Nitro matches, which should never happen. They're making it to where it's a lot harder for teams to stall out, and comebacks are still possible in Nitro, but if you get a lead in Nitro, it's a lot easier to end the game than before, and teams can't just sit there and clear waves and wait. So essentially, Nitro, they're trying to make faster with all of these changes. All of these changes are all for Nitro. Just making the game faster. These are only for Nitro. These are only for Nitro. These are not for the main game mode. Everything you see at Nitro, from here all the way down to the hero changes, is only for Nitro. Once you get down to heroes, then it starts being about the game again, the standard game mode. Heroes. Aurora. Froststorm magical power scaling is increased. A little bit more damage on her passive if you build magic power. Boreal Sweep. Explosion damage is decreased, so it's a lot harder to hit that. Cryoseism Ultimate. Initial explosion scaling increased. And secondary explosion scaling increased. So Aurora overall getting some pretty good buffs. Some extra damage if you build the magic power bruiser build for her and not just tank. So overall, she's getting some good buffs. Boris, even though I don't think she needs buffs, by the way. I think she's a pretty good spot already. I don't know if she needed buffs, but she got them. She did get a nerf to her only, like her main ability that people spam, but still, overall still buffed. Boris. Apex Hunter, health threshold decreased from 25 to 20%. So this augment that allows you to do 70% extra damage with your swipe, that is now 20% threshold if they fall below 20% instead of 25. Trying to make people not use this augment as much. Savage Shred, physical armor shred increased from 35 to 40%. Physical armor shred duration decreased from 4.5 to 5. Sorry. Increased from 4.5 to 5 seconds. So they're trying to make this augment where if you use your sniff and you hit somebody, it shreds their armor. They're trying to make that augment better. I still think that augment is terrible because sniff is such a long cooldown. So this augment, although it's like, hey, I'm sniffing and I'm going to shred some armor. If you don't land it on the tank, this armor shred is useless. You don't need it. You don't need 40% armor shred on an ADC. So this augment still is just needs to be kind of just overhauled. It's only good against tanks, and it doesn't really need to be there. Primeval Roar, your secondary bonus physical power scaling is decreased from 60 to 50%, and max fear duration is also decreased. This character kind of controls the game a lot of the time for some players. That full damage Boris build kind of just runs games, so they're trying to nerf the full damage Boris build while also buffing a more bruisery type Boris build. Countess, Shadow Strike Augment. Ability hits against enemy heroes now reduces Shadow Slip cooldown up to once per ability. Shadow Slip cooldown reduction decreased from 10 to 5%. So this is the augment where if you auto attack somebody, you reduce 8% of your Shadow Slip cooldown. Well, Well, now they've lowered that 8% down to 5% when you auto attack somebody, but they also gave you an extra 5% per ability hit. So I've seen Countesses run this, and you have such a low cooldown on your Shadow Slip if you're in the middle of a fight. You are literally Shadow Slipping in, out, in, out, in, out. Oh, like you are unbelievably hard to catch. This augment actually is really insane, I think. All three of her augments now are really good depending on how you want to play Countess. This one, really good. Crunch. Bug fix. Falcon Crunch no longer causes right crunches damage to not level up correctly, so that's a good fix there. Right crunch increases cooldown decreased from 50 to 30%. Falcon Crunch now causes empowered right click to deal 10% additional damage. Pretty insane. You're going to do extra damage when you knock somebody 10 miles into the air. Quality of life. Falcon Crunch vertical height adjusted to meta match crunch to his target as they both rise up. So it used to be that crunch, I think, got a little bit lower or a little bit higher than the person he's hitting. Now when they come up, they're next to each other. General physical power increased from 62 to 65, so some good crunch buffs. That Falcon Punch augment is already a lot of fun. It's going to be even more fun. Feng Mao. Icarus Glaive augment. So this is the augment that gives him healing based on the enemies killed. Healing on kill increases from 2.5 to 3.5%. So that works for minions and stuff. Gives you a little bit more sustain in the lane. General. Physical power is decreased. So nerfing his base stats right here. Safeguard primary. Cooldown increased. So his Q, his spell shield, they increase the cooldown in the early game. So if you don't max it, you have a longer cooldown. And then in the late game, it's still the same. Hamstring. Bonus physical power scaling is increased, so they gave him more damage on his hamstring. Reaping Dash. Damage decreased, right? So they're nerfing the damage on his Reaping Dash, but buffing the damage on his hamstring. Kind of equals each other out. Not a big deal there at all. And then Earth Shatter Ultimate. Bonus physical power scaling decreased from 80 to 70%. Physical penetration scaling increased from 460 to 520%. Essentially, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, holy crap, they're buffing Feng Mao. Essentially, they're trying to make it to where Assassin Feng Mao is the go-to. Right now, you see Feng Mao's going Augmentation and Berserker's Axe and Omen, and they go this like Salvation and Bruiser style build, and it's really, really hard to deal with the Feng Mao. You can't kill him, and he still executes you for a lot of health. They're trying to get rid of that Feng Mao and make him a more squishy pick in more assassin style, right? They want assassin Feng Mao to be the main way to play him. Bruiser Feng Mao can still get played, but they don't want it to be as impactful as it is now. And they want, if you want to really 1v9 carry games, you have to go assassin build and try to play smart with your HP pool, try to go in when the CC is used, and really like pay attention to the team fights and make him a little bit harder to play. Right now, basically anybody can play him and he's super easy. But if you do go assassin style Feng Mao, you are executing for a lot of health. It is insane. Gideon physical power increased, base health decreased. He's better at trading now when you're fighting boxing in the 1v1. Void Breach alternate magical power scaling increase, so some small buffs to Gideon. Damage nerf to his survivability in the early game. Greystone Sacred Oath secondary bonus physical power scaling increased from 30 to 35%. It's not really going to change Greystone. Graham instant reload execute now works correctly. I think they've said this in the last 3 patches that the instant reload augment is fixed, and now again they're saying it's going to be fixed again, so hopefully it's fixed this time. Not really sure. Instant reload should no longer fail to reset when killing a very low health target with particular items that increases GTFO's damage. So we'll see. This is, I think, the 3rd time they said they fixed this, but I don't know. Maybe. Grux. Thrust for lead healing change from 4 to 12.5 to 4.5 and 11 and 11.3 healing. So this is your lifesteal based on getting max stacks. Basically, they buffed the early game and then they nerfed the late game for this character. So, which is fine. I think that's totally fine. Grux in lane right now kind of can be beaten, but once he gets 1 or 2 items, he kind of poops on everybody. Model sizes increased, so they're making Grux bigger, easier to hit. Health decreased as well, making him a little bit squishier, and movement speed decreased as well, so he's not as fast. Chimera. Health increased from 685 to 720. Big base health increased. Health growth decreased as well, so he doesn't get as much health as he levels up. Total physical power scaling increased from 50 to 74 to 55, 75% for his wild axes, his swinging that he does. On-hit modifiers increased as well, so Sky Splitter's getting even better with him. 80% on hit modifier means that Sky Splitter, when it does 6% of their HP pool, it's doing 80% of 6%. Invigorate cooldown decreased from 22 to 12 to 20 to 12, so buffed it in the early game, stays the same in the late game. Pretty good buff to him there. Bonus physical power scaling decreased from 100% to 90%. Cooldown increase, so this is his leap. His leap got nerfed because it is his best ability, and when chimeras pop off, it's because of this ability. So they're nerfing this ability while buffing his other ones, trying to make him a little bit more, versatile, or well-rounded, I should say. Cole ultimate changed from 120 down to 60 to 110 up to 70. Again, buffing the early game, nerfing the late game. Kwong, physical power is increased, so he has better trading in lane at early levels. Health decrease, he does more damage. I don't know about better trading, but his health got decreased, but his auto attacks got increased. Health growth increased from 120 to 122, so he gets more health as he levels up. Judgment cooldown increased from 13 down to 11 to 15 down to 11. So this is the Judgment of the Heavens abilities. This is his where he throws a sword and tethers you, making it to where if you don't level it up, it isn't as impactful. Light of the Heavens, magical power scaling has been increased. True magical power scaling is increased as well, and then shield magical power scaling increased. So they buffed his right click, the one that brings down the lightning and does damage in an AoE and gives him a shield. Or if you throw it in the sword and tether somebody, it does more true damage now. Morn. Physical power growth decreased, so he doesn't scale his basic attacks don't scale as hard. Extract cooldown increased from 10 to 12 seconds. That's his passive. It was really insanely OP for trading in lane. Contagion has also been nerfed. They increased the magical power scaling but decreased the base damage. And then the healing has also been nerfed slightly. Buffed in the early game, nerfed in the late game. And then cooldown increased as well on that decrease, on that primary contagion ability, probably to make up for the damage nerfs that it's getting. Beguile secondary, Beguile? Damage increased from 80 to 200 to 90 to 210, so they buffed his little Mez ability. Abduct, which is his hook, cooldown increased from 15 down to 12 to 16 down to 12. So again, nerf the early game, buff the late game, no changes. Nerf the late game. Nerf the early game and made it to where the late game has no changes. Bug fixed an issue where the abduct visually traveled the full distance even when cast without charging it up. Cool. Projectile speed increased by 15%, and the hitbox increased by 20%. They're making it a lot easier to hit that hook. Crazy to me. This character has already felt insane, and they're buffing him. Projectile minimum range when immediately cast increased from 525 to 875, making it to where if somebody's really close to you and you quick cast it, more likely to hit them. Murdoch increased the size of the static traps. I tested this augment. Those static traps are huge. They're huge. FaZe gets a buff to her base base health growth. She also gets a buff to her Psychic Flare, damage increase on all of that. She's going to absolutely pump with this Psychic Flare. It's going to do a lot of damage, especially if you get the double hit on it when both the person she's tethered to and her are standing next to the person. It's going to hurt. Rampage rumbling damage is now considered multiple damage instance when using the rumbling, meaning things like Mutilator no longer trigger on its damage. This kind of kills this augment a little bit because Mutilator was like the main reason to do this augment. It's still going to be good, and you can still like annoy people with it, but Mutilator was like insanely strong with this augment. So nerfing this might make it to where the tiny ramp comes back a little bit. Maybe you'll see more of those again, and the rock rampage, the rock augment is really, really strong. Nerfing his health, so he's a lot easier to kill in the early game. And then Boulder Throw is getting nerfed, so if you don't max it out, it stuns for less. Rena now increase the radius of Mortal Coil by 20% for this communion augment. This is the one where it gives healing to all of your allies when they damage somebody in there. I still think this is not that great of an augment now that I've used it, so I don't think that's going to change anything. Sparrow on her Endless Hunt augment, takedowns will also grant Sparrow one physical penetration. Permanently grant it. So if she has this Endless Hunt augment, she will get permanent physical pen every time she gets a kill. Which you might be like, oh, one physical pen, not a big deal. You can go a build on Sparrow now where she has like Malady, because you'll see some buffs to Malady down the line, and Vanquisher, and she'll have a ton of base physical pen, and if she gets any kills in lane, it starts snowballing really, really hard. She does a lot of damage with this augment. If you get any kills in the early game, it starts stacking really hard. Twin Blast, health decreased. Vortex grenade damage has been decreased, so they're nerfing his grenades quite a bit. Damage, slow duration, all of it. And then Ventilate ultimate, projectile speed is decreased, so it's a lot harder to hit your ultimate hits. Wraith. This one is going to blow. This one for all of you Wraith enjoyers, you're going to love this change. These changes. And then for anybody who hates Wraith, to me this looks like a buff more than a nerf. So I died a little inside reading this. Wraith. Illusionist augment. Surprise, surprise. Cooldown multiplier decrease from 40% to 20%. Yeah. To plus 20%. So the surprise, surprise, where you can turn your teammates invisible, it's no longer really, really long cooldown. It's now only 20% extra on length. It's a buff to the augment overall. It only increases your cooldown by 20% instead of 40. But overall, people are probably aren't going to go this augment, even though I think it's actually pretty good. General physical power decrease from 55 to 35. Health decrease from 710 to 68. Health growth increase from 121 to 123. Magical armor increase from 25 to 30. Movement speed increase from 675 to 685. So they're nerfing some of his base stats, right? They buffed his health growth. They buffed his magical armor. And then they buffed his move speed. Sure, he's a little bit squishier to kill in the early game, but he was already easy to kill in the early game. So if you got on him, you could kill him. This doesn't really change that. If you get on him, you're still going to kill him. Who's there passive? Drone ping interval decrease from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, so his drone will ping faster and catch people. Peekaboo, not catch people, but see people. It'll ping in faster intervals. Peekaboo primary slow increase from 27 to 35% in the early game. So now that grenade, it slowed, but now it slows at the max level at all levels. So they just straight up buffed his grenade. If you hit the slow, it's 35% no matter what. Insane to me that they buffed it. Knock knock damage decreased from 70 to 190 to 70 to 170. So sure, they nerfed the damage by 20 in the late game. Early game is still essentially the same. It's a little bit lower, but 20 in the late game. Bonus physical power scaling increased from 110% to 115%. So the scaling is better by 5%. So it's not really going to affect this. Cooldown changed from 9 seconds down to 5 to 10.5 down to 4.5. So in the late game, you have a shorter cooldown knock knock. In the early game, it's longer cooldown. Oh, I hate this character. This character needs to be completely revamped. I do not like this. This character is going to still dominate everybody's games. I hate it. This probably will be my permanent ban character. Back it up. Fixed an issue where controller aim assist would snap onto an unintended location when the user aims the rewind location of an enemy target when they appear. At the rewind target of an enemy target when they appear. So they fixed it to where you no longer have issues on controller with the aim assist. So you can have an even easier time playing Wraith. Yin, physical armor growth is decreased. Lash primary, they fixed a bug where Lash kick would stop people's momentum, which is a big deal because this happens all the time and it feels like she's rooting you even though it doesn't have a root on it. Backlash, cooldown increase from 9 seconds down to 7 to 10 down to 8. Yuri, her ephemeral, oh my gosh, ephemeral, I can't say this. Surge augment now restores 5% max mana when destroying torn spirits. General health decrease from 710 down to 80, so nerfed her survivability in the early game. Health growth is increased though, so after level 10, all of this is gone. Anima Burst, base bonus physical power scaling is increased from 90 to 100. Severance, her secondary ability, hitbox is now increased to better fit Yuri's model, so her dash is now easier to hit because they increased the hitbox of it. Crazy. Whispering Echo's alternate explosion radius increased by 15% and range decreased by 7%. So they buffed Yuri after just nerfing her, so she felt like she was in a good spot. They buffed her. All of her abilities got buffed except for her ult. Sure, her base stats got nerfed pre-level 10, but they essentially just buffed this character. I don't know why. So now we're down to the items. Hero changes overall I think are good. I don't like the buff to Wraith and I don't like the buff to Yuri, but overall I think they're pretty solid. Items. Marksman Crest. Fix an issue where Lieutenant Bellica and Skylar's Hypercharge were not stacked correctly. But there is going to be the correctly stacked... It will stack correctly now, but gaining stacks at a 0.8 second cooldown to prevent excessive stacking from multiple hit basic attacks. So, yeah. Just a bug fix. Just nothing crazy. You won't notice it, probably. Demolisher cost decreased, making Demolisher easier to buy, but the physical power is also nerfed, but the pen is going up. So nerfed the physical power, made it cheaper, but also increased the base pen. Imperator. Cost decreased from 3,500 down to 3,400. And then precision critical strike damage increased from 25% to 30%. They want people to build this item. Nobody really builds it because it's so expensive and stuff, but the item is good, and you know, top players build it because of how good it is, and it's still good. It's getting another buff, so that's crazy. Malady. This item is crazy now. Physical penetration increased from 7 to 10. This item has 10 physical pen. I don't think I'm wrong on this. I think this is now the highest pen item in the game with base pen, with base physical pen. This item is this is the item that I said a Sparrow went on her Sparrow build when she went that endless hunt augment that gives her extra pen every time she gets a kill. She went Malady first, and then she went Vanquisher second. Malady has 10, Vanquisher has 9 physical pen, and if she gets 1 kill, that's 20 physical pen, and she had like 7 kills in the early game. So she had 26 physical pen by her second item. That is an insane amount of physical pen. Plus, Malady is a permanently stacking item. So this item, I think, is going to be built on a lot of people now. ADCs might be building this every time. Mind Razor, physical power decreased from 45 down to 40, so they're trying to nerf Mind Razor. Augmentation is getting a pretty big change. In my opinion, it kind of kills the item, but you guys can judge for yourself. Cost is increased from 3,200 to 3,250. Physical power is being decreased down to 35. Health is decreased from 275 down to 225, but they did add 20 attack speed. True strike damage changed from 40 plus 30% of your bonus physical power to 80% of your base physical power. So bonus physical power is all the power that you build. If you build 500 physical power, this would do 30% of 500 plus the 40. Now it's going to do 80% of your base physical power. This is the power you get as your character levels up. I think looking at it, bruisers have like 120 base physical power at level 18. So that base physical power, you're getting 80% of that, which is going to be like 90 damage. It's not going to be nearly as much as it used to be, where this would be like 100, 200 damage, depending on how much physical power you built in Aegis of Agwar and stuff. So it's going to do a lot less damage. I don't know if this item's going to be worth building anymore. A lot less damage, less health on it, more expensive, not as much physical power, and then sure, you get attack speed. So maybe Grux can build it, but I don't know. Legacy, this is the new broken item for bruisers. Physical power is decreased from 45 down to 35, but they added 225 health. 10 ability haste has been removed, but Legacy is the item that when you fall below, I think, 40% HP, you become CC immune for like 3 seconds. Now that they added health to this item, it is the first bruiser item in the game that has health and magic resistance. It's insane. It's insanely strong. It's not a tank. This is a bruiser item. It has physical power, magic resistance, and HP now. And a passive that stops you from getting CC'd. You're like a mini Terra ult. Go it on Grux, go it on Crunch, go it on every bruiser that you play. 3rd, 4th item. You're going to love it. Magnify, magical power decreased from 65 down to 60. Health increased from 250 to 325. So it's just going to make you a tankier character. You're getting a lot more health from it. And ability haste is also increased. a insane buff for Magnify. Build this on Akeron if you're playing him offlane. It's very good. Oblivion Crown. Cost increase from 3,400 to 3,450. Eradicate magical power increase from 20 to 25%, making Oblivion Crown even better. Vanguardian. This item, I still hate this item. I still think it's absolute trash. You can't convince me otherwise. I've gone into a practice mode with somebody who was trying to convince me how broken this item is. I built it, he built it and had a friend stand next to him. I autoed him. It was like 70 damage. The friend moved away. I autoed him again. And it was like 65 damage. Okay. This item doesn't do crap. I think this item is useless. Don't care that it got a small buff. I still think it's bad. You can't convince me otherwise. Don't care. Flux Matrix. Cost increased from 2,850. Oh, sorry. Cost, yeah, increased. What? They have it backwards, I think. Cost is... There's a typo in here somewhere. Cost of the Flux Matrix, I guess, is increased. Maybe it's decreased. I don't know. Ability haste has been increased on it. Unstable Shackles, magic damage amplifier increased from 10% to 12%. So, buff of Flux Matrix. Nice. Then there's some bug fixes in here. You can read through these if you would like. But overall, this game is changing quite a bit. The balance of the game is kind of like, it's not a huge balance patch. That's usually the patch in the middle. But overall, this world shift cataclysm right here, this is changing the game in a great way. And it's going to add a lot of, dynamic things to the game. It's not going to feel like you're playing the same game all the time. And then in the November patch, the next big patch that they're planning to do, I think it's 1.10. Yeah, I think 1.10, or is that 1.6 or 1.9? I can't remember. In the November patch, they said there's going to be another shift. So not just Cataclysm, but they're adding another map changing shift to the game, which is awesome. We love dynamic maps. We love it that we can, every time we play the game, it doesn't going to feel like we're playing the same game every time. It replays the, it increases the replayability of the game, which a lot of people need so they don't get bored, which is awesome. I love it. The game is going in an amazing direction. They're increasing their servers everywhere. And overall, this patch is another step in a fantastic direction. Playing it, Akeron as a hero, I think that character is a 10 out of 10. I love playing that character. Lermy, one of the new developers at Predecessor, she's the one that made the character, apparently. She did a fantastic job. I absolutely love playing him and the world shift and everything. I'm going to give it maybe like a 9 out of 10. Maybe an 8 out of 10 on the worst day, 9 out of 10, something like that, just because it's going to take a lot of people some time to get used to it, and maybe your games will be a little bit weird for a while. But make sure you rotate to all of the seedlings if you can, if it's on your side of the map and people are going to take it. Rotate to that. It's not global gold for the seedlings, but whoever gets it is going to get a big increase, which is good for your team. And then the Shaper objective, everybody should rotate to that. Everybody should try to get that. It gives really good lane prio. You can invade jungle camps. You can do all of that, and it transforms the map, and it gives a lot of global gold and global XP. So really good at objective changes being added to the game and additional objectives being added. So overall, the patch is like between all of the balance, all of the changes, the battle pass, the skins being added, the entire patch as a whole, I'm going to give it a 9.5. 9.5 out of 10. Nearly a perfect patch. There's also UI changes and stuff. It's fantastic. I love it. Hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to head out now. I know this video has been quite long already, so I'm going to head out. You guys have a great night. Come to my stream, twitch.tv Crazzyfool. You can catch me on YouTube as well. I do stream on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Kick. I stream on all the different platforms, so if you are on any of them, you can follow me. Give me, come into the chat and give me some chat interaction. Talk to me a little bit and ask me some questions, and I'll be glad to answer. So without further ado, you guys have a great night. Peace out. Love you guys. Bye.